So, in the world of Game of Thrones and A Song and Ice and Fire, or A Song of Ice and Fire, Valyrian steel is basically priceless and just hard to get a hold of. Once the Valyrian freehold fell during the Doom of Valyria, there's now only one place that forges Valyrian steel, and that's Quohor. I think that's how you pronounce it. And they just refuse to share how they do it. So it's basically priceless, hard to get a hold of, and if you have it, people just don't let go of it, clearly. Known weapons that are in the main series include Longclaw, Oathkeeper, and Littlefinger's dagger. But there are several swords that have just been lost to time for one reason or another. And those are the ones I want to talk about. So let's talk about them. Uh, so the first one I want to talk about is probably the most famous Valyrian steel sword ever, and that is Blackfire. It was one of two ancestral swords of House Targaryen, and it was the sword of Aegon the Conqueror. The last Targaryen to wield it was Daemon the First Blackfire, and when he was killed at the Battle of the Redgrass Field, and the First Blackfire Rebellion ended, it was taken to Essos by his half-brother Aegor Bitter Steel, and Daemon's surviving sons. The sword was then presumably passed down to each heir until Sir Barristan killed Meleys the Monstrous, ending the last Blackfire Rebellion. The sword's whereabouts now are just unknown. I wouldn't think Selmy would just leave the sword there, but there's no record of it in King's Landing, and we know Barristan doesn't have it. It's probably still just in Essos somewhere within the Golden Company, as it's only presumed to have been passed down to heirs. Uh, there's just not a lot of info on its current whereabouts. In the books, Tyrion believes he comes across Blackfire while in Essos, uh, but we're not sure. And so it's just nowhere else. If I had to guess, it's in Essos within the Golden Company. Next up, Dark Sister. This was the other ancestral sword of House Targaryen, and notable names to have wielded it were Visenya Targaryen, Daemon the Rogue Prince Targaryen, and Balon Targaryen. The last known wielder was Brynden Rivers, aka Bloodraven. Following the end of the First Blackfire Rebellion, Brynden was sent to the Wall, where he rose to Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. But after leading a group beyond the Wall, he and his party were never seen again, and the sword was just lost. I believe the sword could show up in the Jon Snow series that's coming, as he's going to be living, north of the Wall or where the Wall was. Could pop up there, and him being a true Targaryen, it would make sense if that to come full circle. Um, I'm assuming it's up there, either covered in ice and snow, or maybe one of the wildlings has it, or somewhere. It's somewhere beyond the Wall. Someone has it, and that's just all we know. That's all we know about Dark Sister. Nextly, we have Bright Roar. I've talked about this one before. This was the ancestral sword of House Lannister, and they acquired it in the century before the Doom. It's said that the gold used to buy it was enough to raise an entire army. Uh, and as I said in press videos, it was lost when Tommen II Lannister went to the ruined Valyrian Peninsula for old Valyria's lost treasures and sorceries and whatnot. And his fleet never returned, and the sword was just lost. In 291 AC, Gerion or Garion Lannister, I don't know how to pronounce it, Lannister went in search for the sword, but also never returned. It could be lost at sea somewhere, and if it is, we'll never see it again. But more than likely, Tommen II did make it to the Valyrian Peninsula, and it's just there somewhere. Within the Smoking Sea, somewhere. Yeah. During his life, Tywin Lannister tried to buy Valyrian swords of other houses, like of smaller houses, and none of them would sell them. So House Lannister just went without a sword until they melted down ice and got Willing's Well and Oathkeeper out of it. But even then, those aren't technically for House Lannister. Oh well, you know what I'm saying. Lamentation, uh, was the ancestral sword of House Royce. Sir William Royce wielded the blade during the Dance of the Dragons and was the last known wielder from his house. But when he was killed, the man responsible took off with the sword, never to be seen again. There's theories out there that Littlefinger knows where it's at, its whereabouts, or has it in his possessions. However, there's no concrete proof here, and I believe whoever took off with it just has it and it's been passed down in his family, or people have killed him and taken it from themselves. It's out there, it's lost somewhere. Vigilance was the ancestral sword of House Hightower. The last known wielder was Ormond Hightower during the Dance of the Dragons. He was killed by Lord Roderick Dustin during the First Battle of Templeton, and the sword just disappeared. I'm assuming Roderick took it, but it just hasn't been seen since, and no one knows where Vigilance is at. It appears a lot of swords disappeared during the Dance of the Dragons, because this next one did as well. Orphan Maker was the ancestral sword of House Roxton. The last known wielder of House Roxton was Sir John Roxton during the Dance of the Dragons, like I said earlier. After splitting Lord Footley and Lord Hugh Hammer in two during the First and Second Battle of Templeton, he was killed by Hugh's men. The sword then was founded by Lord Unwin Peake, who would become hand for Aegon III. Following him, the sword just disappears. No one knows where it's at. I guess maybe it's still in House Peake somewhere, but there's no record of it. And lastly, Ice. This was the ancestral great longsword from House Stark. It was typically used in ceremonies and executions, but Lord Eddard Stark did wield it during the Greyjoy Rebellion. The last known wielder was Robb Stark, and after he was killed, Tywin Lannister had it melted down into two swords. One was given to King Joffrey Baratheon/Lannister, and it was named Willow's Well, and the other was given to his son and heir, Sir Jaime Lannister, who would give it to Brienne Tarth, who would name it Oathkeeper. So while it's not lost, it has been sadly destroyed and will never be seen again. Yeah. So there is no theories about it, it's just gone forever. There's also a lot of unnamed Valyrian steel weapons that have gone missing, like Sandok the Shadow's Arak and whatnot. They're just gone. I don't know why we're just losing these weapons. Like, I don't understand why we're just, letting these weapons made of this priceless metal, like, just disappear. But it happened over and over again, apparently. But anyways, that's my video. I couldn't find any more mention of other Valyrian steel swords that have gone missing. Let me know if I did miss any, though, because I am prone to making mistakes like that. But anyways, like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Leave a comment of what you thought, and hit the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos and all the great stuff. I truly do appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day and all the great stuff. I'll see you on the next one. Peace!